Shalom from Jerusalem. My name is Shani Ferguson, and your Hebrew word for today is GAZA, which is pronounced in most languages, GAZA. So why do we pronounce GAZA, GAZA, in English and other languages? The greatest influence for this pronunciation came while translating the Hebrew Bible into Greek, as the letter Ayin can be pronounced both Aza and, with the more guttural version, pronounced GAZA, and is spelled with a G. The first time Aza is mentioned in the Bible is in Genesis 10, just after the flood. Noah's son Ham begets children, including Mitzrayim, for Egypt, and Canaan, where Abraham would eventually move his family. Somewhat ironically, the ancient word Aza comes from the root Ein Zain Zain, and its meaning, both in Hebrew and Arabic, translates as stabbing or prickling, like a thorn. And if you follow Gaza's history, it has been a thorn in the flesh of many peoples and empires, even before the Philistines notoriously conquered and settled there. In the 1947 partition plan, Gaza was designated as part of the land that would form a country for Arabs living in the area, though they rejected it, and in the Israel Independence War, Gaza was occupied by Egypt. This is part of the reason why so many Arabs living in Gaza today are actually Egyptian in origin. Several times in military clashes between 1948 and 1967, Israel conquered the area and then returned it to Egypt. In 1967, however, when Israel conquered it again along with the Sinai Peninsula, Egypt only ever asked for the Sinai back. Perhaps they too were tired of dealing with a tumultuous strip of land. In the following decades, as it was now included inside of Israel's borders, Israelis began to settle in the desert lands of Gaza that included some of the most beautiful beaches on the Mediterranean coast. There, they developed methods and technology to grow magnificent produce and create jobs for local Arabs. All this ended in 2005 when Israel unilaterally pulled out of Gaza. It was called the disengagement and took place in the summer of 2005. As would be customary when giving Palestinian Arabs what they really want, every last Jew was removed from Gaza. The images of Israeli soldiers who were ordered to drag their Jewish brethren out of their homes and onto buses still scar Israel's society today. Then Prime Minister Ariel Sharon was the one who ordered the removal and planned to continue evicting Jews from the West Bank following his expected re-election. Within months of this decision, he suffered a stroke and remained in a vegetative state for 8 years before he died. In 2006, Palestinian elections were held in the West Bank and Gaza between Hamas and Fatah. While Fatah leader Mahmoud Abbas won the presidency, Hamas won the parliament. Disagreements erupted between the two parties until in 2007, a bloody conflict exploded between Hamas and Fatah in what has become known as the Battle of Gaza. Hamas, the more extreme of the two, executed and expelled Fatah leaders from the Gaza Strip, and then enforced strict Islamic practices that included the murder of Christians. And while the two ruling parties agree in the pursuit of the dissolving of Israel, a governmental rift has remained between Gaza and the West Bank until this day. Since 2005, Israel spent some $900 million uprooting a total of 1,700 Jewish families from Gaza. This included 166 Israeli farmers who produced $120 million worth of fruit, vegetables, herbs, and flowers, and included 70% of all of Israel's organic produce. Sadly, the Arab animosity towards Israelis was such that none of the abandoned farms or homes were repurposed by Gazans for their own use, and most Gazans who worked on their farms lost their jobs, except for the few thousand who would receive work permits to come into Israel proper and work on Israeli farms. For decades, Gazans continued to cross the border daily into Israel to work until the permits were frozen following the attacks of October 7th, 2023. So call it Aza, or Gaza, or Gaza, and know that though it was rare, there were short seasons in which Gaza flourished beautifully, but only when its inhabitants were willing to live in peace with their neighbors. And that's all for your Hebrew word of the day. Until next time, I'm Shani Ferguson. Shalom from Jerusalem.
Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Palestinians, Gaza, what's happening in the Holy Land? Historic and modern events. Learn topics that you would never know unless you lived in the land of Israel. Join and subscribe to learn about these things and much more at Maoz Israel.